Welcome to the North Carolina Museum of History. My name is Audrey Bailey, and I have the honor of being your MC this afternoon. Now, these awards represent the highest honor a state employee may receive for dedicated service to the state of North Carolina and the citizens of North Carolina. Today we'll get a glimpse at some of the amazing things North Carolina state government employees are doing to serve the citizens of our state. I want to first start by thanking Matt, did you leave? Matt Molesworth, who serenaded us with some wonderful tunes while you were all coming in. And I want to remind you too, if you haven't already, silence your phone. I know you don't want to turn it off because you want to take pictures, but if you would, please silence it. Now, as we begin, I'd like everyone to please stand for the presentation of the colors by our North Carolina Highway Patrol Honor Guard. With us today are Sergeant J.M. Dorsey, Trooper J.S. Smith, Trooper D.A. Knapp, Trooper Mark Serbone, and Trooper C.I. Huntley. Now, if you would please remain standing for the national anthem performed by Ms. Wanda Barnes. Wanda?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward, forward.
Thank you, Wanda. That was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, as we honor our nation, our state, and our citizens, we also want to honor those state employees who made the ultimate sacrifice. And it's with heavy hearts that we pause for a moment to remember 4 individuals: Veronica Darden, Justin Smith, Wendy Shannon, and Jeffrey Howe. They lost their lives after being injured at Pasquotank Correctional Institution. And if you would, join me in a moment of silence, please. Amen. All right, let me give you a little bit of background about this amazing day. The Governor's Awards for Excellence program was created in 1982 to acknowledge and express gratitude and appreciation to employees for their outstanding accomplishments beyond the scope of their normal duties, which are pretty intense as well. State employees are nominated for the awards by their supervisors, their co-workers, and even by their subordinates. Now, before we hear more about these terrific honorees, and they are very deserving, I want to first acknowledge some distinguished leaders. They are on stage with us today to also recognize our award recipients. And I'd like to ask each of them to stand as I recognize them. And if you would, just hold your applause. I know you want to give them all your appreciation, but hold your applause until all of them are introduced. Of course, first we have the governor of the great state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. And sitting beside him, of course, is our lovely First Lady, Kristen Cooper. We have Cynthia Jolly, who's the chairman of the State Employees Credit Union Foundation Board, Director Barbara Gibson, the Office of State Human Resources, and the proud leaders, Secretary Susie Hamilton, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Stacy Meyer, okay, thank you, Stacy. The Chief Deputy Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, Cassandra Hoekstra. Commissioner Mike Causey with the Department of Insurance. Dr. Phyllis Horns, Vice Chancellor, Health Sciences at East Carolina University. Chief Administrative Law Judge Julian Mann III with the Office of Administrative Hearings. Executive Director Gordon Myers with Wildlife Resources Commission. Secretary Michael Reagan, Department of Environmental Quality. And Secretary Jim Trogdon with the Department of Transportation. Now, I commend these leaders for being here to show their appreciation and for creating the kind of work environment that allows state employees to excel. So now, let's give them all a round of applause. Now, to get to this point, there was a lot of hard work that had to go into it, and the Office of State Human Resources received 115 nominations. Yeah, I'll say it again, 115. And it's no surprise there were so many because our state employees do so much. They do so much. Now, the difficult task of reading through those nominations and deciding who to select, which could not have been an easy job, fell on the Awards Selection Committee. Now, the committee consists of 5 extremely dedicated and thoughtful people, and I want to introduce them to you now. And again, hold your applause until they've all been recognized. And if you would, when you stand, remain standing, because I want all of you to stand together. First of all, with UNC General Administration, Taylor Libby. She's back in the back. Hey, Taylor. Patricia Garcia with the Department of Health and Human Services. Jimmy Goodrum from the State Employees Credit Union. Chris Majette from the Department of Revenue. There, all right. And Melody Hunter-Pillion from the Office of State Human Resources. Melody's back in the back wave. All right. They narrowed that list down of 115 worthy candidates to the final 12 who are seated here in front of us today. Thank you, Selection Committee. Job well done. Now let's thank them. Now, this award ceremony, the wonderful luncheon that our recipients and their guests enjoyed earlier at the mansion, were made possible by the generous support of the State Employees Credit Union Foundation. The SECU Foundation believes in making a positive change across our state through community development. Now, I have the pleasure to introduce Cynthia Jolly, who's chairman of the SECU Foundation. Ms. Jolly has served on the State Employees Credit Union Board of Directors since October of 2002. Her career represents more than 30 years of education, innovation, and improvement. Previously, Ms. Jolly served as an assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction with the Wake County Public School System and the Nash Rocky Mount Public Schools. She's been a director at the North Carolina Department of Instruction, NC STEM Community Outreach, and North Carolina New Schools. Currently, she provides education consultation and technical assistance to state and national committees. Ms. Jolly holds an undergraduate degree in English from North Carolina State University and graduate degrees in education from Duke University and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, all three. Please welcome the most impressive Cynthia Jolly from the SECU Board.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Governor, First Lady, state dignitaries, and our special guest. I'm Cindy Jolly, chair of your SECU Foundation Board of Directors this year. And on behalf of the State Employees Credit Union of more than 2 million members, I'm delighted to be here to congratulate this extraordinary group of state employees, fellow citizens whose service and accomplishments have earned the highest honor a state government employee may receive, the Governor's Award for Excellence. North Carolina's state government employees are invaluable. In their roles as perfect public servants, they display passion and outstanding commitment to others, true examples of the people helping people philosophy of the credit union and the member-funded SECU Foundation. We are proud to provide foundation sponsorship of today's awards and to convey our genuine appreciation of the contributions these individuals have made to the people and communities of North Carolina. I also would like to acknowledge those who nominated these distinguished recipients for their part in bringing such exceptional service to our attention. We appreciate not only the recipients, the award winners, but the families and the friends who've supported them. I think all of us know that we cannot accomplish what we would want in public service without the support of family and friends and our coworkers. Again, thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Now, the 12 people being honored here today as Governor's Awards for Excellence recipients demonstrate compassion for their fellow citizens, a passion for volunteerism, and an unselfish devotion to serving the great state of North Carolina. Simply said, they put others first, and they make our lives better and easier each day. Now, will you please welcome Barbara Gibson, who is Director of the Office of State Human Resources, to share a few words about this impressive group of state employees and to introduce our special guest.
Good afternoon. Thank you to everybody for being here to share this really special occasion with us. I personally am really honored to be a part of this program. It's a privilege to bring all of us together to honor this incredible group of people for their accomplishments. Their stories of devotion and heroism will certainly inspire you. I watched them earlier, and they inspired me for sure. Very impressive people doing impressive things. The honorees being recognized today stand out for their exceptionalism, for going above and beyond in many ways, for bringing improved efficiencies, facilitating innovation, helping others, and literally saving lives. They demonstrate leadership, compassion, and courage. They put in that extra effort, and this afternoon they're being honored for going that extra mile. I am grateful for their service and proud to be one of their colleagues. Congratulations on these awards. I'm honored to be a part of this celebration, and I'm honored to introduce our special guest speaker, Governor Roy Cooper. Having known and worked for Governor Cooper for many years, I can say without hesitation that being a part of this program for the Governor's Awards for Excellence is truly a highlight for him. In our 16 years at the Department of Justice, I was impressed that he always made a point of meeting with the new hires during orientation whenever he could, stopping in as he passed by a meeting just to say hi, and of course hosting the annual Employee Service Awards, recognizing the long-term department employees. He was always genuinely interested in everybody he met and thankful for everything that they did. And in all, he is a total advocate for all of us state employees. We are very lucky to have him. This award is the highest honor a state employee may receive. It was created in 1982 to honor state employees for outstanding achievements. The honorees today each represent the epitome of success, a trait that Governor holds as a benchmark for himself and for every state employee. He sees great things happening for all people in our state through the exceptional work of all of these state employees, and he works tirelessly to make the future of our state one full of inspiration and success. Dedicated state employees are the ones who make that happen. He knows it, and today he will celebrate it. A North Carolina native, Governor Cooper was born and raised in Nash County. He attended public schools, and he worked summers on the family farm. He received his graduate, undergraduate, and law degrees from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Governor Cooper has devoted much of his life to serving North Carolina citizens. He entered public service in the North Carolina State House and then the State Senate, where he focused on the quality of education by raising teacher pay and reducing class sizes. He also spearheaded North Carolina's first children's health insurance initiative. Governor Cooper was elected Attorney General in 2000, and he served 4 consecutive terms. Under his leadership, North Carolina saw a sharp decrease in crime and fought for consumers by advocating for lower utility rates and putting predatory lenders out of business. Now, as the 75th governor of North Carolina, Governor Cooper is determined to make lasting investments in our future. Our quality of life is his priority. Through his work, he wants to ensure that North Carolinians are healthier, better educated, and more prosperous for generations to come. It has been my privilege to work with Governor Cooper for many years, and today it's my privilege to introduce him to you. It is with great pride that he recognizes each of you with the distinguished honor, the Governor's Awards for Excellence for 2017. Please join me in welcoming Governor Cooper.
Thank you very much, Barbara, and thank you for your leadership in the Department of Human Resources and the challenges that you face so well there. I want to thank the selection committee. Cindy, thank you for the State Employees Credit Union Foundation for help with this effort. Thanks to 2 of my cabinet secretaries here today, Secretary Reagan and Secretary Trogdon, and other representatives of my cabinet, along with elected Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey, and I saw Colonel Glenn McNeil, the commander of the Highway Patrol, here. And I want to give a lot of thanks to my wonderful wife, the First Lady, Kristen Cooper, who is working so hard out there on issues such as childhood hunger, literacy, and the arts. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Number one, let me speak to all of the state employees in this room and to just tell you how deeply grateful I am for your service. I've been in and around public service for many years, and as each year goes by, I'm so much more grateful for the work of our state employees. Many of you could be doing other jobs in the private sector for more money, but you choose public service, and you make a difference in people's lives every single day. From things that people just expect to happen and take for granted, but you're doing it and making sure that they can take it for granted because it happens, to saving lives and keeping people safe and risking your own lives. State employees are there. And I'll work to keep fighting for all of you. State employees in general are underpaid and underappreciated, and I think it's important for us to lift all state employees up. And I'm here today to recognize 12 of them who have gone above and beyond, and I'll tell you, there are examples of that happening every day in state government. So it's important for us to step back and to recognize those who have taken that extra step and are making a real difference out there. When you got 115 great nominations for this award and you get selected as one of the 12, that's quite an honor. And also those other 115 should be congratulated as well. They've made selfless sacrifices to provide customer service, to bring innovative solutions to some of our toughest challenges, and to improve the lives of people throughout the state. I'm particularly impressed with their passion for public service to improve the quality of life for people. And I'm proud, very proud, of each of our 12 honorees and of the family members who are here, because believe me, families of state employees are important because you give them the support that they need to do their job. After I speak, there's going to be a video that tells a little bit more about each of these honorees. I got to spend a few minutes with them outside and shook hands, and we took some pictures. My wife, Kristen, is going to be present for the presentation of your awards. I've got to go to another meeting, but I wanted to particularly be here to say thank you and to just say a word or two about each one of you. First, Noelle Okun with our Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Noelle, I want to thank you for enhancing art and culture for North Carolinians and our visitors here. Noelle, your exhibit, Actual State, was unique, and it made a difference. John Woodlock is an IT manager in the Department of Public Safety. John, government's facing unprecedented security challenges, and innovations like your software tool may help us for lasting safety improvements for the Department of Public Safety. And I want to thank you for your work. Sergeant Joe Bright, also from the Department of Public Safety, never stops working, my understanding. Whether on or off the job, Sergeant Bright, you are a role model for our young people, and I applaud you and ask you to keep up your work for North Carolina's children. Alan Buchanan from the Department of Insurance. Alan, I hear that you have a reputation of being one of the most sought-after child passenger safety trainers in the world. That's how good you are at what you do. Alan, my hat's off to you for your contributions to improve child passenger safety, not only in North Carolina, but across the world. Dr. Michelle Skipper joins us today from East Carolina University. Dr. Skipper, when Hurricane Matthew hit eastern North Carolina, you put your own needs aside and attended to the needs of others. Our state will always be grateful to you. Larry Williams is from the Office of Administrative Hearing. Larry, your commitment to helping our youth and providing them with purpose is an investment in our state's future. And you do it on your own time. And I want you to know that your time and your efforts are appreciated. Master Officer Patrick Brown is from the Department of Public Safety. Officer Brown, the work you do to save lives, I want to recognize your bravery and your unwavering commitment to public service. Thank you so much. Brad Garman, also from the Department of Public Safety. You put your own life at risk late one evening to save a neighbor. And you also came to the aid of 2 young girls in distress. Your kindness and bravery have saved lives. You didn't have to do it, and I'm thankful that you did. Cindy Hamilton is with the Department of Environmental Quality. Cindy, your generosity is remarkable. You gave the gift of life to a co-worker. It's an honor to congratulate you today. Dean Roscoe from the Department of Transportation. Dean, you noticed an emergency, and you took quick action. Because you didn't hesitate, a young child is alive today. Thank you, Dean. Sergeant Daniel Roper is with our North Carolina Army National Guard. Sergeant Roper, the burning flames of the plane crash didn't stop you from rushing in and saving a life. I'm proud of your courage. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Robert Shook, who is also from our North Carolina Army National Guard. Robert, you displayed tremendous bravery, putting yourself at risk to save someone else. You're a hero. I extend my thanks to each one of you for your contributions to our state. You know, our state motto is esse quam videre, to be rather than to seem. You are our very best. And as our state strives to be a better place for everyone, your selfless actions bring us closer to the goal. The employees that we're honoring today represent the real meaning of public service. And in the upcoming video presentations, you will see their willingness to go the extra mile. These state employees have big ideas and even bigger hearts and are an inspiration to all of us. You didn't take these actions for the accolades, however. You did it because it was the right thing to do. Again, thank you for your mission. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. As your governor, I'm proud that you are these award recipients, and congratulations on a tremendous day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Okay, now without further ado, let's meet our recipients and get a look at those videos that the governor put out. Now, presenting the awards today will be Director Barbara Gibson with the Office of State Human Resources and the recipients' respective leadership. All right. First up in the category of customer service is Noelle Ocon from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Noelle works at the North Carolina Museum of Art, and she has certainly enhanced the customer experience through an amazing exhibit called Actual State. Now let's check out her video.
What actual state means is the state that the painting is in with no varnishes, no restorations. It's the bare naked truth about the painting.
The Museum of Art has an incredible collection here that really belongs to the people of North Carolina. So why I think things like actual state are important is because it opens up a window into how much work goes into taking care of this art.
One of the most important things we do is to preserve artwork for the future. So the exhibition was the fun part of conservation, the sexy part, which is the restoration part.
Actual State was an exhibition in which Noelle Ocon, who is one of our conservators, actually in-painted a painting, which is work that's normally done behind the scenes in a lab. But she did it in the gallery for about 5 months.
So for many, many, many years, conservation was sort of hidden in the back, all right? We didn't really want to show the true condition of paintings. But now, as we've progressed as a science as well as a craft, we've decided to take it out of the shadows and show people what we're dealing with. So Actual State was an exhibition of 2 paintings and me. One of the paintings was completed where people could see before, during, and after. And then the painting, which is behind me, was the one that we showed in Actual State. And over the course of 5 months, I did the retouching. So people were able to come see me at specific times and watch this process. So that was the point of the exhibition, was to show the science and the art behind what we do.
Noelle went really above and beyond with not only spending her time in the gallery, but also being so conscientious about talking to people about her work. And it was a really special customer service kind of moment. No one can really recreate in any other place, and that probably no person could recreate in the way that Noelle did.
I say I or me a lot, but it's really we. And you know, I don't work in a vacuum, we don't work in a vacuum. So Shannon's design helped bring the exhibition to life. You know, this one project, I'm winning the award, but it took a heck of a lot of people to get me there. So I appreciate that.
In the Efficiency and Innovation category, we have John Woodlock from the Department of Public Safety. John is an IT manager and recently constructed an unbelievable software tool for our prison system. Let's take a look.
I'm John Woodlock. I'm an IT manager, and I've been with the state for 21 years, with MIS for 12 years. It was a project that came about because the management was asking for some way to sort of bring all the information that they need to run a prison together in a way that would make sense. Running prisons is kind of like running a town where there's a million things that need to get done. You need to feed them, you need to transport them, run education, disciplinary, and all these systems are done in independent applications. And so the superintendent and his staff that need to sort of get the broad picture would either have to go to all the different systems, or they would have to have the people who work in those systems generate reports and bring them to them. So we thought with management's request was some way to bring that together to make a more comprehensive overview that they could use to sort of get an instant view of how their institution was running. And so that's how we came up with the dashboard.
And that's not his day job. His day job, he's an IT manager. He's trying to keep up with putting fires out and helping projects and helping his staff. So most of this, I know, was probably done after hours. He won't admit it. I tried not to tell him not to work too hard, but not as passionate as he was. He really knew this could help prison staff. So he worked extremely hard, and I'm just very fortunate that we have John here to have done that.
Well, originally it was designed mostly for the superintendent and the assistant superintendents that run the prisons. But quickly it became apparent that it was very helpful to a lot of staff. So even staff that were running programs or were running education, they were coming to the dashboard because it was a lot easier for them to get critical information and then from there launch off to some specific application that they needed to finish their job. So they loved it. We got more and more users, and then health services expressed a need that they would like to know because a lot of their health records are in one system and the inmate records are another. So we quickly built another application for them, and now we're in the process of building one for personnel. So the more that use it, the more the demand we have for it.
What he did on this tool was absolutely amazing. I could have nominated John every year for some of the work he does, but this tool came out to be an exceptional tool. I cannot imagine how much this tool would have cost if we had to bring people in to build it, how much time it would have taken, and he turned around and did all that on his own a lot at night and weekends and whatever it took to make this done in just a few months so that they could have a tool that quick.
I'm very pleased. I didn't even know that I had been recommended, so I'm very honored to receive it. I'm also very pleased to know that my supervisor thought enough of me to even take the time to write it up.
Wow, okay. Okay, our next category is human relations. Today we are honoring Highway Patrol Sergeant Joe Bright, who has been an outstanding role model for hundreds of children, teens, and young adults both on and off the job. Now here's his story.
My name is Joe Bright. I'm the Assistant Commandant for the North Carolina Highway Patrol Basic Patrol School. Well, on a day-to-day basis here at the Training Academy as the Assistant Commandant, my main responsibility is administrative, but I do have the opportunity to get out and work with the cadets doing PT in the morning, physical training, as well as DT on the side, some defensive tactics. When I see the cadets graduate and walk across that stage and they're leaving out, one of the honorable things I have the privilege to do is to dismiss them for the last time in the capacity of a trooper, and just to know that they're going out there into a dangerous world and go out there and make us proud and make our community proud.
Motivation check!
Joe's work ethic can only be described in a very lengthy conversation. Joe's tremendous. He continues to provide hours upon hours of service to our agency, and then only to find himself volunteering both at his church, at local schools, local mentor programs, and of course ultimately at the NC State football, the Wolfpack's program there, where he volunteers his time to support the efforts and security for the head coach.
I always start off my day with a word of prayer, and I ask the Lord, find a way to get me through the things I need to do today. It can be tough at times. I'm down to one more awesome son at the house, and my wife, she has to deal with a lot because I am so busy with work and sports, and I'm in a fraternity. I'm very active in my church, and so you really have to find time and make time for your family. But I always, like a lot of guys on the patrol, we find time to pray, and that's where we get our strength from.
I find it as no surprise that Joe has been nominated for such an award, for such a prestigious memento. He is definitely well worth it and definitely well deserving of this award.
Being a team player, it's not just an award for me, it's for everybody who I know who's helped me along the way, and I thank them very much from the bottom of my heart for the things they've done to help me to be in the position that I am in now.
In the Outstanding Government Service category, we have Injury Prevention Specialist for the North Carolina Department of Insurance, Alan Buchanan. He's made child safety a priority and has contributed to the improvement of all child passenger safety trainings, not only across North Carolina, but across the nation and even abroad. How about that? Let's look at his video.
I want to congratulate Alan Buchanan on this honor. North Carolina has one of the strongest child passenger safety programs in the nation, And a lot of that credit goes to Alan Buchanan for his tireless efforts in his work as injury prevention specialist for the Office of the State Fire Marshal.
So child passenger safety is one of our biggest programs. It's such a passion for me because unfortunately motor vehicle crashes continue to be a leading cause of death and injury to our children. You know, it's totally unpreventable as far as what happens in a crash. As long as we have children properly restrained, then the outcome is usually much greater for success.
I've worked with Alan for over 10 years, and he is known across the state as being an advocate for child passenger safety.
Oh gosh, I've done hundreds of classes since I started back in 2000 teaching. I've spent over 5,000 hours, I think, to actually teach the class. I've been very fortunate to actually travel overseas to the Middle East to actually teach in another country, which is a whole new, another perspective on child passenger safety.
He does long hours, weekends, working late into the evening. When he tells students at a class that he will stay there with them and help them if they're having trouble, he seriously means it, and he does that. He doesn't want anybody leaving not understanding and fully grasping the concept of the safety for children.
Well, the training we do is to teach law enforcement, police officers, other individuals how to correctly install restraints, child restraints, so that they actually can work with the parents and caregivers to teach them how to correctly use it. One of my main goals is to actually keep these technicians certified so that they can actually keep educating the parents and caregivers.
I would describe Alan in 2 words as determined and passionate. He's determined to get these classes going and to make sure that the students get through these classes. And he does all this because he is passionate about keeping children safe and making sure that he's training these trainers to the best of his ability.
Just to be recognized by peers across the country and throughout the state is a huge honor, and words don't come to my mind how honored I felt.
Our next category is public service. East Carolina's Dr. Michelle Skipper was quick to respond when Hurricane Matthew hit. Let's see her story.
I was scared. I was scared because I stood there and I watched the water keep going up higher and higher.
While St. Paul's resident Angela Baxley was without power, fearing what could come, Hurricane Matthew's flooding cut off Caroline and Wayne Ayers' drive back to their home in Greenville.
Car in front of us made it through, but we didn't.
The Ayers were now stranded with a totaled car 2 hours from home.
We didn't know what to do. I was trying to take care of me and some of the other elderly people that we just didn't know what to do. All we had was God, and God sent our angel.
Angela says that angel was in the form of Michelle Skipper.
We were in the right place at the right time, and when the town manager called, we both said, sure, what can we help do?
He asked Michelle's husband, Bruce, to bring his grill to the shelter at St. Paul's High School.
When people started arriving at the school, and we knew then by that time we were going to have to make it long term.
The Skippers estimate that they and the other volunteers served about 2,000 meals a day to the people in the shelter, as well as to those in the neighborhood who they delivered to.
People who had resources to get out of town got out of town. We got the folks who came here who didn't have anywhere else to go. And so they came here who were on dialysis, who were on oxygen, who were diabetics. We were trying to meet needs with what we had here.
Michelle's a nurse practitioner by trade and the director of Doctor of Nursing programs at East Carolina University. Her main goal was to attend to the medical needs of those housed there, but her job quickly evolved.
She was always there doing whatever needed to be done. She cooked, she cleaned, she picked up trash, whatever was needed at the time.
And when she went home at night after those 14-hour days, her job wasn't over.
We had folks in the shelter that simply needed clothes washed, but there weren't facilities here to wash things. So thankfully, I was close by, and some of our other neighbors and folks in the community at the end of the day would take clothes home and wash.
As time went on, Angela's life returned to normal. And after 5 days, the waters receded and the heirs were able to get a ride back to Greenville.
Hi, how are you guys?
It was obvious to us that Paul was not the only saint in St. Paul. St. Paul was full of saints.
None of this was done for recognition. I mean, it was done because, you know, like I said, we had resources that people needed at the time they needed them.
I just love her, and I want to say thank God and congratulations, because it's much deserving. You rock. Michelle Skipper rocks. I wanted to know that.
Our next honoree is in the category of public service, Larry Williams. He's a civil rights investigator with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and he's founder and president of Restoring a Generation. Here's his story.
For one, God gave me a vision to establish a nonprofit that we later on began to title Restoring a Generation, or RAG. And so me, along with my wonderful staff there at Kingdom Builders Fellowship Church, where I'm blessed to serve as senior pastor as well, came up with an awesome fortitude and visionary aspect of how we can reach these areas like never before.
4 years ago when I started working here, I got to know Larry. He has a passion for helping people and making an improvement in their lives, helping them change their lives, making a difference.
It is very important, and I'll be honest with you, I love it. I love serving as a liaison in that regard because, you know, I look into my own life. I could have easily been a statistic, and that's what gives me the passion to be able to look at many of the young people in our county in Johnston, and to be able to see between the gap of school, family, community at large. There's so many holes, so much separatism that has occurred, whether it's economic, instability, whether it's criminal intent, whether it's, a lack of spiritual development itself of the fear of God.
Now, he doesn't just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, but because he has a passion for doing that.
And what we do is prepare kids through backpack programs, we provide food. A lot of entities, barber shops, are providing young men with haircuts. Ladies are braiding their hair and providing basic essentials. And then we have other churches and nonprofit groups providing other supplies and events. And we have other empowerment issues and forums that are all connected to this greater thing. We've just seen so much successful things that have occurred through Restoring a Generation.
If there were more people in the world like Larry that care about people, it doesn't matter the color of the skin, their gender, whatever, their age, just caring about people. If there were more people like that, I think our world would be so much better.
It's very honorable to be able to be recognized for this. But I say to all the other nominees and all of the powers that be, let's serve humanity, one person at a time.
Okay, we have 6 amazing winners in the final category, which is safety and heroism. First up, Master Officer Patrick Brown. Even though he was off duty, Officer Brown was the first person on the scene of an accident, and he immediately took heroic action. Watch this.
Myself and Sergeant Durham and Officer Intel had been working a special detail for trying to catch folks taking illegal striped bass in Northampton County. After the detail was over with, we broke up and started proceeding home that day. So I texted my wife just briefly, told her I was going to be about 20 to 25 minutes coming home. And Officer Intel left just a minute or so before me. So once I did that, I proceeded down Jackson Bypass Road. I noticed these dark objects in the woods and put my lights on. I immediately realized that there was an accident that had just occurred.
I had just went inside, checked off, took my duty belt off, still had my radio on, and heard Officer Brown come over the radio. Once I heard that, I just grabbed my duty belt, jumped in my truck, got up there as quick as I could.
The vehicle was on fire. I immediately heard a female saying help, and when I threw my light on her, I saw a female with a lot of blood on her face. The driver door was open, and she was standing in the driver door saying that she can't move. The vehicle itself was next to a swamp, so when I went to attempt to retrieve her, I was waist deep in water and it was real mucky mud. The flames itself, they were getting pretty intense very quickly. They were pretty much running completely over the windshield of the vehicle. And you know, I just, like I said, I knew I had to do something for her. And once I went in and retrieved her, and me and the other gentleman that was there assisting, we drug her back as far as we could down the road by our arms.
It was fire in the trees, spreading. He said there was another victim, he thought, in the car that was beside that one. So at that point, myself and Officer Antel went to that victim and started working trying to get him out of the vehicle. We're
trained to go in and do what needs to be done in order to save somebody's life. I'm very fortunate that I was there to assist her.
He went above and beyond, put himself in danger to protect somebody that he didn't even know.
Hopefully everybody else would have done the same thing. I know the officers that I work with in the Wildlife Commission would absolutely have done the same thing. But I don't feel like I'm a hero. I just feel like I'm just a normal person that's just doing the right thing.
Master Officer Patrick Brown. Unfortunately, domestic violence affects individuals in every community. Our next honoree in the safety and heroism category is Brad Garman. Brad is a maintenance mechanic with the Department of Public Safety, and he put his own life at risk late one evening to save his neighbor.
I'm Bradley Garman. I'm a maintenance mechanic. I maintain the facility as far as plumbing, electrical, HVAC, make sure everything's up to standards for the inmates. It was about 9:30 in the evening. Me and my wife were sitting down, we were watching television, and all of a sudden the doorbell started ringing. And my wife went to the door and I was following her, and we opened the door up, and the two young girls that lived next door were screaming that their mother was getting beaten up by their dad. So immediately I ran over, I told them to stay there. I ran over inside, told my wife to call 911, and he was on top of her beating her with a closed fist. So I ran in and grabbed a hold of him, pulled him off of him, and held him down until the police arrived. And they took me off of him and arrested him and took the lady out, the mother out, on a gurney, I guess you would say, to the hospital.
My name is Michael Ditta. I'm the superintendent here at New Hanover Correctional. It was not out of his character. When I heard the scenario, I knew immediately that I wanted to share it. It just shows that he's not only that same type of individual here, but also in the community as well. So no, I wasn't surprised. I was proud.
They wanted to know what to do with the girls. The social services showed up, and I said, you know, we're house parents. We have the knowledge and to deal with it, the crisis and stuff. So they spoke to the father, and he said that was okay, that they would stay. So they stayed with us for the 2 evenings that the mother was in the hospital.
With my encouragement, that he allowed me to share this. And I just think that that speaks volumes to where he wasn't looking for anything. He wasn't looking for publicity. He wasn't certainly looking for this, but it was warranted. And, you know, just we often hear the department some negativity things, and this is just something to share and to be proud of. And we're proud of him through and through.
I'm not a hero. I think that anyone would have done what I've done. At least I hope so. Knowing that, you know, these two young girls would not have a mother if they didn't step in.
Up next is Cindy Hamilton from the Department of Environmental Quality. And it takes a person with a special heart to give the gift of life. And that's what Cindy did. When she found a former co-worker needed a kidney donation, she willingly stepped up. Let's watch her video.
Carol was one of the first people I met when I came to work here. She did Marine Patrol, which I do now. It takes two of us to do what Carol did by herself. And it was just sort of by happen chance. It was in October, like right before Halloween, and you know, everybody's having candy and stuff. And she had this big handful of stuff of, you know, like pills or candy or something. And I said, Carol, I hope that's candy you're popping. And she turned to me and just tears came down her eyes. I went, Carol, what in the world? And that's the first time I even knew she had been sick. And she told me that she had a kidney disease.
It was kind of scary, but we got through the process. My husband tried to be a donor, and he wasn't a match. And then, like, Cindy came through for me.
I was just floored by the news. She's so, I mean, relatively healthy looking and worked and always nice and perky, and no one had a clue. Everybody here wanted to help Carol when they found out, and that is fact. Everybody wanted to help her. So as it turned out, I was an 8 out of 10 match. I was at peace with the decision the whole time, from the day I made the decision, from the very end. The surgery was long, and they say that the donor surgery is rougher because they have to go to my back and move everything, and you know, to get the kidney.
She is amazing. Yeah, she really is. It is a selfless act that she did, you know, because she wasn't thinking of herself. She was just thinking of me, and I felt horrible for her. And then the whole time I'm thinking, you know, I hate telling people I'm feeling so good because she's feeling so miserable. But I have not felt this good in 20 years. I just really haven't. And I appreciate everybody that even thought about, you know, donating.
I think people should be blood donors. I think people should be bone marrow donors. And I think people should be tested to be organ donors. I don't see this, what I did, as a special act for an award.
She deserves that and so much more. She really does, for what she did. It is tough on the donor, but the recipient, it will make a big difference in their life. It really does. I feel good.
One more thing, we are very fortunate to have a very special guest with us today. The kidney recipient that Cindy was the donor for is here, and Carol Luttrell, would you please come and join Cindy on the stage? Now let's give these two the applause they deserve. And if you haven't checked that donor on your card, on your license, please do. North Carolina Army National Guard Sergeant Daniel Roper was off duty and headed to pick up his children from school when he saw that plane crash. And what he did next saved a man's life.
His seat and cockpit were gone. All that's left was a framing of a seat. Whatever I can do to help somebody or save somebody or keep a bad person from hurting somebody is what I like to do. So I'm heading down the road and literally just a plane kind of buzzes the treetops, doing this weird little movement in the air, and it's nowhere near a landing strip or anywhere where you should land a plane. Well, he's driving along, and all of a sudden this sucker just goes straight down. A few seconds goes by, and I'm looking. Probably a couple hundred yards off the highway, there's a black and white checkered something sticking out of the wood line. And I pass this road day-to-day basis. I'm always scanning, looking, you know, what's going on. I've never seen that up there before. It may be a plane. So I cut off the road, drive through a woman's garden area in her field, drive up through there, and I'm getting close enough to where I realize, hey, that is a plane.
You're at your 3Ds, return to fire, you got cover, consume it.
So I just parked the vehicle, run up there, and there's a guy unconscious in a plane on fire. So I reach in, grab his 5-point safety harness, and he's in there pretty tight. So he wasn't even trying to get out. I didn't know if he's alive or dead. I didn't know. I didn't care at the time since it's on fire. So I finally get him out, and when his feet finally hit the ground, I heard so I knew he was alive. But I pulled him out. I probably got him 30, 40 feet away from the plane, but I didn't feel like that was enough. The thing's on fire, and I didn't know if it was gonna blow up or what. Another guy helps me get him up. He lived in the apartment, 100 yards or so from it, and we dragged him to a vehicle that had just pulled up. If I'd have been 30 seconds too fast down the road, I'd have never seen him. He'd have not got out. So it worked out good.
Come to the stage, get your award. All right. Okay, Dean Roscoe from the Department of Transportation. He was on a conference call, he knew his priorities, and he chose wisely. And that decision, his quick action, saved the life of a young child. His video?
Typical day for me, we are in the office to assist the public with vehicles that they bring in from out of state, vehicles with salvage titles, antique vehicles, and people needing waivers for their car to pass inspection station. We go out on the road, we investigate identity theft as it relates to driver's licenses, we handle vehicle thefts, equipment thefts, we investigate complaints against car dealerships because we also regulate, we have to go out and do audits on car dealerships and inspection stations.
Dean is one of the employees that I'm fortunate enough to supervise that's above expectations. He constantly goes above and beyond when dealing with individuals.
Being in law enforcement and being a first responder for so many years, when you see something, you just act. You go do like you were trained to do to try to render assistance to whoever you can to save lives. I was on a conference call because we were getting orders ready for supply. While I was talking, I noticed a lady come out of the driver's license office with a child that seemed to be in distress, and the mother was very loud. So I turned my attention and immediately saw the child. It looked like he couldn't breathe, he couldn't talk. So I told the people on the conference call, I've got a child choking, I'll be back. I hung up the phone, ran over to where the child was, I performed a Heimlich maneuver on the child, and a piece of purple candy dislodged out of his mouth. The child was fine. The child started breathing again. The mother said, "Thank you," picked the child up, comforted the child, and walked back into the driver's license office.
If it wasn't for that phone call, Roscoe wouldn't have said nothing, most likely. He's that type of individual that he doesn't want to be recognized. He'll do his job and he'll do it well, but he's not going to ask for that recognition.
Learning CPR, learning the Heimlich maneuver, those kind of things, in my belief, is something that everybody should know, because it may be your child at your house that something happens to.
It just makes me proud to know that I have somebody that works with me that has that type of fortitude and integrity that rises to that level to receive the award.
I don't know why I'm getting it. I feel like I'm just doing my job, is what I feel. I am thankful for receiving it. My family, of course, is very proud and honored, and I am very proud and honored.
And last but certainly not least, we have Robert Shook from the North Carolina Army National Guard. Shook put himself in harm's way to save the life of another citizen. And here's his story.
We were ordered to Wilson County, North Carolina. Captain Hendricks pulled me to a little study room to the right, and we went in there and we looked at this map. He said, "We have a lady that's lost. She left work from the hospital."
I left here at 11:30 at night, headed for home, and I went down Downing Street, crossed over Forest Hills, and the next thing I knew, I was in like 8 foot of water and my car was floating.
This is probably our best bet. It was the fastest course of action. It was about a 2 mile, a mile and a half strip of troubled roads, which was below water grade.
We drove out there, and it was me, Lieutenant Koch, and Captain Henderson, who was the head captain of the EMS team.
Shook and Captain Hendricks got on top of the Humvee, and were looking, using their lights, trying to find her. At this time, we see Dorla Mack. So the engine started, we drive up to her, and then we all jump on top of the Humvee.
When they finally found me, they threw me a rescue rope.
Miss Dorla Mack grabbed the rope. However, after being in the water for 3 hours, she was experiencing hypothermic conditions.
I grabbed a hold of it, but I guess from being hypothermic and a little disoriented, as soon as my other hand let go of the tree branch, I lost grip on the rope and started floating.
When she released the rope, Shook was ready to go.
And so at that point, she kind of started to drift away.
Robert, without thinking about his own safety, jumped in, and he got to me and he held my head above water until they could get a boat close enough to get me in the boat. My body temperature at that point was 91, and the doctor told me if it would have dropped to 88, I would have just passed out and drowned.
Shook had this intrinsic desire, super intrinsic desire to go to the hospital and see Miss Dorla Mack.
You know, I wanted to go and make sure that, you know, she was okay.
So I'm laying there with a heating blanket on, they're pushing hot fluids through my veins, and I look up and there stands Robert and Wyatt. They had come to check on me, to see if I was okay. And the next day I got a friend request on Facebook from Robert, and him and I have kept in contact ever since. The young man is a true hero. If it wasn't for him, I would not be here.
Oh, wow. Now, we are so proud of Robert Shook and his amazing life-saving rescue, and it's our honor today to also have with us the grateful nurse who's alive because of Jason. Please welcome his Facebook friend, Dorla Mack, to the stage.
Hi, how is everyone doing today, or afternoon, evening? So, without you, this wouldn't be possible. You fought, you were strong, and you are strong. And all I did was did my job. All I did was swim. You're the one that held on, and you're the one that survived. And no matter any award, anything like that, the best award is knowing that you're with your family and you're right here in front of me. And I'd like to present you my company coin. And welcome to the 1-5 family.
Thank you so much. He really is a hero.
But you're always welcome in our family and in my family.
Thank you, as well as mine. Here. Okay, please join me in congratulating all of these honorees. They are so passionate about what they do. They're an inspiration to us all. They know how to create and foster an environment where our citizens feel and know how to, they feel valued, we feel engaged, we feel included. Now, this concludes our ceremony, but before we go out to this really nice little reception that's out there, there's one more group of people that we need to thank. Now, I hope you agree this was a really nice ceremony. Yes. And I'm sure you understand it didn't happen just by chance. Some people worked real hard to make all this possible, creating the videos and contacting and just doing all the things behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. They worked so hard, people in the Department of Human Resources. But there's one lady that we really need to give some special thanks to, and her name is Carol Battle. And Carol, where are you? I bet she's working is what she's doing. Yes, she's working. Well, you will see her out there. She has on red. You go up to her and give her a hug because she worked real hard. So now please join us in the lobby for a yummy reception honoring our award recipients, and you're going to be entertained by a wonderful saxophonist and a pianist, and they're the Greg Gelb Duo. Enjoy, and thank you all for coming.